when you're in your first 5 years of real estate and you say, I want a work-life balance, don't get into real estate. You need to sacrifice so many things in your life to be able to get to that next level.
In your experience, how pivotal is self-belief in shaping long-term success, not just in a career, but in life as a whole?
When you start out in real estate, well, I started 20 years ago, so 20 years in January actually, had no experience, and it gets to a point that, you know, you go through the hustle stage, you go through the building stage and the learning phase, and you get to a point where you go, am I worthy of this, one, and can I do this? When do I want to do it? And what I found was the biggest kick driver of that was, yes, I can in my own mind. So I have that those attributes through all aspects of my life. So I'm a father of four. I've got a beautiful wife. You know, I always wanted a big family, and having a big family, you need to have the self-belief that you're going to be a good parent, good father, good husband. And that resonates with everything in my life, with my relationships, with my friends, with my colleagues, and with real estate in particular, knowing that you can do something. So a testament to to that point is I had an opportunity once to sell, which was the Brisbane's largest property at that point of time. And I ended up calling the owner, and the owner said to me, why should I list with you? And I went away and I presented this book. It cost me $10,000 to do it. And I went all in. And it was a pivotal moment in my career. I got that business and I sold it for $11.8 million and broke the Brisbane record. And following that, that was the one bit that I thought, you know what? If you apply yourself, you're all in, you're obsessed, you're hungry, you're ambitious, anything's possible.
Can you take me back to the moment you first had to back yourself, before there was any real evidence that you could do it? What made you choose belief over doubt in that moment?
Yeah, look, sort of testament to that first story, there's been a few cases of that. I had a lot of setbacks when I first started. It took me 9 months to make my first sale. You know, I was an ex-Sparky. I wasn't very studious at school, got an OP16. And being a Sparky, I got into real estate, and literally it was the hardest 9 months of my life. I had the pressure of people coming to me saying, it's okay, you can go back to being an electrician. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to crawl through roofs. I didn't want to, you know, lay conduit and dig holes in backyards. It wasn't until a point where I made a sale after my first 9 months. And I thought, you know what? I actually think I can do this. Before that, I was doubting myself, listening to the voices that everyone was saying, all the negativity of, you know, it's okay, fallback plan. I didn't have a plan B. And having no plan B is all about your mindset of being able to achieve what you want to achieve. Even when the times can be really tough. I got myself into $50,000 credit card debt. And for anyone that has been in that position and had to work their way out of it, I haven't been given any free kicks. You know, managing yourself and making the decision. And I made a decision a few years ago. I called it going pro. And my expectation of myself was world class in every aspect of it. So I've become what I call myself world class in real estate. So I know everything from contracts through to negotiation, through to marketing, through to how I run my auctions, how I conduct my team, my leadership in the business. All of those things is super important to me. And that's unfortunately one of my biggest downsides in leadership is I don't understand when people don't have that all-in obsessed mentality. And when they don't have that all-in obsessed mentality, and the worst thing for me in real estate or in general in life is mediocrity. It's probably the thing that I despise the most. And unfortunately, you know, I try through my leadership and through my own sales and how I conduct myself to try to lift the bar of everyone else. That's probably a testament to, you know, the success that I've had in my 20 years now.
How do you build belief on the days when results, confidence, or motivation just aren't there?
It's really hard. That's when you actually self-doubt. And, you know, I had a period only last year where market sort of just died off. Open numbers were lower. I had a huge amount of stock and nothing was selling. Couldn't get offers. And the mentality that you get in that period of time is you try to cut corners and you try to do all things a bit differently, and it doesn't work. So real estate is really simple. It's process driven. And for anyone that ever does get themselves into a rut, you've just got to follow the processes, run the systems perfectly. My whole business is systemized. So from the listing, from the prospecting through to the pre-list, through to the listing presentation, through to the sales process is completely checklisted and refined. And it's usually to get yourself out of that position, you need to go back and do the basics from A to Z perfectly, do it again. Once you get a little bit of leverage off doing that, you see a little bit of success, everything starts to fall in place. So to give you an example, that was in November last year, and coming out this year, I did a little bit of a team structure. Since doing that team restructure, I've managed to go back to a systemized business, and we've written nearly 85 million in the last 60 days. So it's been just go back to the basics and follow the process.
What's the hardest challenge you've ever had to push through? And how did that experience reshape the belief of what you're capable of?
Yeah, okay. I can talk in two parts, of real estate and in personal. I like to look after myself physically, mentally, emotionally. I've had a few injuries in my time, and I don't know about most people, but when I get injured, I get really depressed. And if I can't train and do all these things, and that happened last year. I did my back, did my L5S1, and trying to run a marathon, and it was debilitating. I just had my fourth child. I couldn't lift my baby up. Couldn't hold my baby, and all the questions in your brain go about why am I doing this? It's about laying the foundation to get yourself back there. And I was told by 3 doctors, one was to get a fuse of my back, one was to get a shave of my back, and one of them said don't do any of that, just go to Pilates, do all these things, make sure you're doing all the restoration side. And I've run 3 marathons since that. So it's all about your mindset to get around that. In real estate, I get setbacks all the time. I've lost 3 listings this month, but the key to when you lose the listings is to have enough opportunity to not worry about the losses, and look back at all the losses that you've had and go, why did we lose that? Some are in your control, some are out of your control. But the thing that I've learned best from that is don't sweat the small stuff, move on to the next one. And if you don't have any more opportunities to go to, that's when it causes self-doubt. Try to have as many opportunities as you can. So if you do lose them, and you will lose them, and this is the best thing about real estate, is it doesn't discriminate. Real estate is an open market, it's an even playing field, and you just need to have enough opportunities to be able to not worry about the losses.
Do you have a deeper purpose that drives you? And how does that shape the way you show up, train and perform every single day?
I call it mastery, learning new things, learning the craft even more every day. My biggest thing that keeps me going is I run an associates program in our business. We've got 40 associates across the group. Seeing the agents, males and females, go from no real estate experience to maybe out of school, maybe out of a failed career, and watching their growth. I love ambition. I was ambitious myself, so we don't squash ambition here. We nurture ambition and look at roadways where we look after good people. And seeing some of the agents that, like myself back at school, everyone writing you off saying you're not going to be successful, and seeing some of these young people and even older people changing their life overnight by learning the skill of real estate. And the more I've done it, the more I love it. And that's, obviously real estate is really hard. It's thankless. Leadership is really hard. It's lonely. When you have the right people on the ship and they're all growth focused and are all in obsessed, it's just a thrill. It's like a dopamine hit every time.
How do you lead others to believe in themselves, especially on the days that they're struggling to see it?
First and foremost is you've got to do training. You've got to train them to be the best they can be. The primary focus and how we lead our business is around best price for your clients and doing the right thing always. It's not about the dollar today, it's about the 10 tomorrow. And that's how we run our business. And we could have a $5 million rider come and ring us and say, I want to join your business, but if they're not good for culture, they don't fit the mold, we won't have them.
Looking back on your journey, what role has belief played in getting you to where you are today? And what advice would you give to somebody who's still trying to build that belief in themselves?
I look back on my 20 years in real estate and thought, how would I do it again if I could do it differently? And would I do it again? There's one thing that people get to a level, right? And there's the learning phase, which I spoke about before, which can be anywhere between 1 to 3 years. There's then, the growth stage where you start to get it, you start to grow your business, but then you get to this point which is called sacrifice stage. And sacrifice is and this is talking specifically to people that want to be elite performers, or they want to be to the next level, the top 1%ers, right, in the country. And there's a thing called sacrifice. And a lot of agents get to that point and then they go, 1, am I worthy of it? 2, do I want it? And 3, can I do it? Again, and you see, and there's a thing in Ray White called elite performers, and the drop off from an agent making it 1 year, the drop off to their second year of doing it drops off by 40%. And for anyone that wants to really make it happen, you've got to sit there and follow a process. You've got to have a systemized business. You've got to literally run, whether you're a high volume agent, whether you're a high end agent, whether you're a marketing agent, attraction business, you've got to have a process in play and you've got to stick to the process. And people think that real estate, it's about fast cars, watches, and wearing a suit and flexibility of time. And when you're in your first 5 years of real estate and you say, I want a work-life balance, don't get into real estate. You need to sacrifice so many things in your life to be able to get to that next level. I look back and for anyone that is in that growth phase and ready to go into sacrifice stage, that sits there questioning themselves whether they think it's worth it, I wouldn't take it back for a second. And I spoke to my mum the other day about it, and she was like saying, oh, I'm so proud of everything you've done and all of these things. And I just said, I think I got a little bit lucky. And she goes, no, you weren't. You worked your ass off. And I think that's probably the key to it is you've got to sacrifice, you've got to work hard, you've got to have a level of emotional intelligence, you've got to be able to read people, and you've got to have their best interests at heart. But I'll tell you what, once you nail it, it's so worth it. It changes the whole landscape of your financial freedom. It changes the whole landscape of your life and gives you an ability to make easier decisions in life, and I wouldn't change it for a minute.